All right, well, let's go from the gridiron to the Iron Show,
The
Monday Night
steam
Raw.
iron.
The Steam Iron, Monday Night Raw. Still on the USA Network until the end of the year. Apparently, they have to figure out what they're going to do between November of 2024 and January of 2025.
Okay, well, that's something that has come up since we did what you may have already heard. I've lost track. And what are they going to be off the air for a couple of months? Is that,
Or they'll find someplace to put their show. I mean, it is weird that the Netflix deal begins a couple months after the USA, unless there's a non-compete, which I can't imagine.
well, that's not long for a non-compete.
Right.
It's just odd. But I wonder, do they need that show for that period of time? Or is it going to be something where there's this all-out publicity blitz and they kind of starve them for their Raw? I can't believe I'm saying that.
That won't work.
Well, now they've got a year to make it work, Mr. Naysayer. Maybe they say, well, we got SmackDown, we got NXT, we're going to launch this big publicity, but they're going to put one of the guys on a bus and drive him across the country and stop every whistle stop. He'll say, remember to get your Netflix, folks. Maybe they'll do that. 1,600 episodes is what they have done when they got to New Orleans on, what was this past Monday, January the 22nd? Yes.
22nd.
22nd. And we've already talked in this program that you've heard by now about the Punk and Cody segment, but that was at the 10 o'clock hour. So we got to start because there's some other things bubbling around. And the opening promo was Seth Franklin Rollins coming out with the knee brace, and where they had announced that he was going to reveal what his future holds or whatever, the injury, how bad is it, what's going on. And I think a lot of people were aware of this, even though it just happened the previous week, because they not only sang "Whoa" for a while, which they normally do, but then there was an organic round of appreciation applause, and then a "Thank you, Seth" chant. So, and I mean, also he came out with a knee brace on over the pants of his Cesar Romero special, but he wasn't like overly limping or on crutches or whatever. So unless they knew, Brian, don't you think something was up to begin with, they're tuned into it. They wouldn't have gone to that length unless they knew he had some bad news to impart.
I think word like that amongst even the casual fans spreads pretty quickly in a building. Seth Rollins is hurt. They're going to start with Rollins. What's this I hear about Rollins? Someone else says something.
Well, it's even been on, it was advertised where, he's got some infirmity that's going on, but a lot of times still with people that just buy tickets and think I'll go to this as a lark. They're not. When you get to that number, the WWE fans are usually in these buildings for the TVs these days. A lot of them are not the internet fans that hang on every word. But they knew about it. And, I got the feeling this is a big time presentation from this, because you could see that Seth was emotional for real, because he's like, fuck, my knee, I know, how he might feel. But you can see the tear forming up in his eye, and they get the shots. The presentation of it, a star is talking to people that are interested here, and it's working, as opposed to, and like we talked about with Punk and Cody, as opposed to where it seems like they're just talking at them over in AEW these days. But anyway, Seth, last week, the moonsault against Jinder, he felt the knee go. He knew something was up in the back, and he was afraid that he might miss Mania. And he got the MRI results, and they aren't great. The torn MCL and a partial meniscus tear. but surgery would be 3 to 4 months. It sounded like, that he was trying to lead the people down the path that, he's going to miss Mania. And at that point, boom, Gunther music. And he's got some heat now. Have you noticed from the people? And he looks and acts like a main eventer, and he's more relaxed now than he was when he moved up to the main roster and he was a little stiffer. He's more condescending and natural. He's getting into this. And, he put Seth over. He said, I'm gonna honestly tell you what I think of you. You're a workhorse champion that everybody can be proud of, and blah, 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 just like me. And Gunther said that he's sad to see Seth, like this and might not make WrestleMania. And that's when Seth said, well, you should have let me finish. Because I don't give a damn what the doctors say. I will defend the title at WrestleMania. And I'm going to do everything in my power to walk out World Heavyweight Champion. So if they're trying to follow the rules to an extent, a babyface never swears and promises unless he's going to do it. And when I heard that line, I will defend the title at WrestleMania, but I'll do everything in my power to walk out as champion. That's why I think they're going to do something where he comes back. He's not 100%. Gunther fucking ruins the leg and becomes the champion with Seth having an out and Gunther getting heat for it, which means Gunther has to win the Royal Rumble. You see why I'm led in that direction like a horse to water, Brian?
I do, and I do think actually Gunther is the guy who can legitimize that title. If he has anything like the run he's had with the Intercontinental belt, not even anything against Rollins, but he was the first guy with a made-up belt, and then he had to start pretending like it was the most established, honorable belt. It's not. Gunther winning it makes it that. If Rollins is hurt, Rollins is hurt. If he can get through a WrestleMania match, you want Gunther beating him as opposed to winning a held-up title. And then, like I said the other day, or in the future, or whatever it was, Hulk Hogan, when he lost to... When the Ultimate Warrior beat Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6, he had to vacate the Intercontinental belt. That way you get the belt off Gunther without him having to lose.
There you go. And that's why when Seth said that, Gunther said, I'm glad to hear it, and I admire that, and I'd do the same thing. So from one great champion to another, and he said on Sunday, and then Michael Cole had a goddamn seizure after the thing was over. He said, no, it's Saturday. But on Sunday, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble and choose you at WrestleMania and target your knee and everything that's not 100% and beat you for the title. So he's actually doing what we've said. Say, yes, I want you hurt and at a percentage of your normal self so I can beat you easier. Jesus Christ, it's not that fucking difficult. And then Seth says, well, I appreciate your honesty. Remember who you're coming after, which was kind of weak. Because it's not like he strikes fear in the hearts of children like, fucking Abdullah the Butcher or whatever. But Gunther then said, you better remember who's coming after you. And that was better.
He's so intimidating without even doing anything. He just has that presence.
Yeah. The big face and the long fucking arms and legs. And
the voice. Yeah. The voice adds to it.
And then they do the shake hands type of thing where I hate you and this is all phony and I'm going to fuck you around when I get the chance. And then suddenly the New Day hit the ring and attack Kaiser and Da Vinci. And they get in a little bit of a flurry and just go to the break. So that was that segment, and that, they're going to have a match when we come back. But before we get into that, again, Gunther moving into that level. And are they going to be serendipitous enough here to make Seth suffering a minor injury actually turn out to be a positive in this story and lead to a highly demanded rematch as soon as Seth is 100%?
And I like Rollins so much better when he's not hamming it up. I know that's his gimmick, and obviously it's working for him. I hate it. But when he's out there talking and being serious and showing real emotion,
Yeah.
and we didn't really even get to see like real anger or anything here. It was just a real guy having these things. You relate to him, and he's good like that. When he's putting on a fabricated personality, it comes across that way. Fans like singing songs. They'll sing anyone's songs. There are plenty of songs they sing and then they go silent. Rollins is better than that. He was good here. And Gunther, I said it the other day, he's the best bully in wrestling without having to do anything. He's bigger, he's tougher, he's scarier. You know, the big thing down the road is him and Lesnar, if they ever got to do it, because then you have someone.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine him face to face what that would be like. I can imagine Lesnar squashing the other guys because that's their role, but good segment, though. Well, Rollins and Drew McIntyre was really good. They've had a string of really good segments. Hate to call them talking segments now, but that's what you got to call them.
Confrontation.
They're not promos. They're not really building up anything. They're just talking to each other. But this was a great segment. This is a really good Rollins segment.
You know, Gunther is like if Eddie Haskell grew up and became a steroid distributor. Eh?
No.
Can you see it?
No.
Okay. All righty. Well, can you see Da Vinci and Kaiser against Kofi and Woods?
No.
Actually, you should have. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because it's, and the New Day has just been so preposterous. But they are trying in this match, they're trying to give Da Vinci and Kaiser more credibility. And those guys are working their asses off for it. And everybody in this match was going 100 miles an hour and not necessarily in a sloppy ways, but they're working as hard as they fucking can because there's new owners, the new TV deals, all this shit going on. Everybody wants to make a good impression with The Office. So all these guys were working hard, but The Office is trying to give the Imperium Stooges more credibility that we've talked about for so long. They can't be the tag team champions and still have, Gunther's single opponent treat them like two job guys, right? They were trying to make them a feared tag team on their own, and then they would flunky for Gunther. It appears like they're trying to make these guys a little bit more serious. And in Kofi Kingston made a heck of a comeback. And they did a big four-way fight to the floor and did a double count out and continued on. It was the arena fight that you see in AEW all the fucking time that looks like shit, except this one, especially for WWE standards, actually had some violence to it. They laid their shit in. They kept it moving. They had game faces on. There was aggression in the fighting. It wasn't just I put my hand on your head and you put yours on my head and we're going to fight each other through the fucking crowd like Brody and Abdullah in Japan. It was there. And then they got up on an equipment box and Kofi speared them all off through fucking tables to end then they didn't get back up. Imagine that. They had a bunch of people check on them because they went through tables to a concrete floor. And the crowd was chanting, holy shit. And I'll be a son of a bitch if the audio guy or whoever at USA Network wasn't able to bleep shit and leave the holy every single time. So I know, again, for the Imperium Stooges and Kofi and Woods, normally that's a skipper, but they're trying. I got to give it to them. But you didn't have to give it to him.
I saw the spear spot, and I thought it had a little more intensity than usual, obviously. There's certain things that are going to hold me. There are certain things that aren't. I like the talking segments, and I like the matches they build up.
Yeah.
A lot of these other things just don't resonate with me. There are things I can't turn away from, like some of these women's matches where the crowd goes silent. It's weird watching wrestling in a vacuum where like no noise is happening whatsoever.
Oh boy, oh, it's horrible doing it too. But no, but that's the reason why I noticed this was because it reminds me of the old days. A new booker came in and suddenly there's a difference in everybody's step in the ring. Or some, also you can tell that whereas Da Vinci and Kaiser were being just completely flunked out back several months ago, now they're letting them do shit, and you can see they're responding by trying to do it the best they can. I like to see people progressing. And the Judgment Day, or everybody's mad at everybody. Rhea and Priest are arguing because Rhea's not happy that Priest is fighting Drew, but Priest isn't happy that Rhea's talking to Adam Pearce, and Rhea's telling Finn what to do. How long can this go on?
And Rhea's dressing more and more sultry. I don't know what you want to call it.
She's gotten an upgrade in the wardrobe department over the last few weeks, definitely.
Judgment Day drama. That's the only thing you can call it.
And that's it's good. I'll see where it's going, because it's good when you've got tension in the group and there's, a couple that can't get along. But if everybody's yelling at everybody, I'm wondering how long they can keep juggling this before somebody gets punched in the face. Did you see Ivy Nile versus Valerie Hala?
No.
Well, boy, they had a heck of a fucking fight. They were working hard and laying it in, and you could hear a mouse pissing on cotton in the arena. And that's what you're talking about. Where's the crickets? Yeah, that sounded like Hogan slamming Andre compared to what they were getting here in this match.
We talk about it with AEW a lot, but you have to be fair, it's WWE too. There's women that belong at the top of the card. Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair. Becky Lynch has proven herself to be there. If Sasha Banks was there, she's proven herself to be there. There are other people that fans react to. But then there's so many women, and it's almost exclusive to the women, where the crowds go silent. Because they're watching something because it's in front of them, not because it's something they wanted to see when they went there. Women's wrestling will never work if it's just being shoved down the throats of fans that weren't tuning in to see that.
Yes.
I think women's wrestling deserves a serious, well-funded promotion with top-flight women, and not just filling up TV time with anyone you can get who's a body because they're not ready. I didn't watch this match. The fans who were in the building looked like they were watching it, but they didn't want to be there. And they dedicate like so much TV time to it. They dedicate so much TV time to it. How much of it is because of the genuine demand for women's wrestling, and how much of it's for other reasons?
Are you insinuating that Ivy Nile and Valerie Hala have evidence on some of the higher-ups as to why they were able to get on this television program?
No, I'm insinuating that several years back, when there was the big cry for give the divas a chance and then, get rid of the divas and make them serious, and Stephanie and Triple H were doing interviews about how they're making women the equal to men. It was something fantastic for publicity and as a talking point. And it's a wonderful idea in a perfect world. But the wrestling fans aren't there. You can't just shove an idea down people's throats. And for one reason or another, and there are plenty of reasons, women's wrestling in America was never at the level of popularity as men's wrestling, or of men's wrestling. And nothing changed. They started having more women on the shows, and people wanted to support the women that were on the shows. And again, there's a Rhea Ripley who is as talented a professional wrestler as anyone, man or female. Male or female, I should say. Or person. Whatever is going on out there.
Any of the genders.
But there's way too many that aren't up to snuff. And would it hurt women's wrestling if it was less segments, less time devoted to these segments, less women who are not ready being put in these positions, and just a smaller division? made up of talented people that fans care about who can work. It's just, you don't see it with the men's division so much. Look, when Gargano and Ciampa came out on this show, the crowd was dead silent. That was frightening for them because that's supposed to be a babyface tag team. They didn't get any reaction at all. But AEW and WWE have women's matches that aren't good, that are sloppy, and that fans don't even react to. They're silent. Or they're just looking at the wedgie that the girl went to the ring with. And like, it really has to be addressed at some point. I mean, WWE doesn't have to care because they got all this money coming in. But that's why I said it from the beginning of AEW. Why do they have a women's division? Where's the demand for that? It still isn't there. You have like 20 fans that are like, we need the women to be presented better. And I'm like, well, we need them to learn how to fucking wrestle. How about you start with that? Present them better.
Well, let me bring this up. The idea was that in Japan, when they had the breakthroughs, the hot runs with either the dream pair, the beauty pair, or the crush gals or whatever, their teen idol women's wrestling stars over there, that they inspired a bunch of young women to like wrestling and blah, blah, blah. And they said, well, if we have more women over here on the shows, then we'll get more female fans. When there were almost never any women on wrestling shows, the crowds in some, whether it Carolinas or Dallas in the day of the Von Erichs, whatever, was 50 to 60% female. Now the cards are 50 to 60% female, and there's almost no women in the audience. How does that work?
Yeah, that's the thing. You watch any of that All Japan women's stuff from the 80s, and some of that stuff's a lot sloppier than it became in the 90s, where really the women's wrestlers in Japan in the early 90s, maybe the biggest precursor to the style that a lot of guys work today in AEW or wherever. But in the 80s, Dump Matsumoto versus Chigusa Nagayo, it was a little sloppy at times. You got away with it because it was like a world-class crowd. It was screaming girls who cried.
Yeah.
When Chigusa got her head shaved. It was a different thing. It was a different audience. That audience has never been there in North America for women's wrestling. Now, no one's really tried it. Glow was a joke. I mean, we could all look back at it now and go, oh, the wonderful 80s. It was never a serious thing. The Jeannie Buss funded Women's of Wrestling, or Women of Wrestling, whatever the hell it is.
The Women's of Wrestling.
Women's of Wrestling. Apparently the women's do pretty good numbers. I mean, they're in a bunch of markets and they're also on Axis. I think they do better than Impact, which Axis owns, or the parent company owns, and New Japan.
But you can't sell tickets to it.
But you can't sell tickets and there's no hot audience. There's no people waiting to... You can't sell tickets, let alone you can't sell tickets to a bunch of women who want to be invested in it. So who's the audience? Your idea then is you're selling women's wrestling purely to men who are going to come and react how? It's just not there. Like, no one addresses it the right way. No one presents it the right way. And then you get a bunch of these women that show up in AEW, and who's telling them what to do? The agents there? The Chris Jerichos and people like that? It's put all over the TV shows, but there's very little foundation for the presentation and the way it's being done. I'm not saying get rid of women's wrestling. AEW shouldn't have a women's division. If you want to have matches on shows, do that. But you kill your own company by having your women's division.
Don't get rid of it. Get it under control and make it to where that it will draw money like the WWE have at the top. It will draw money, or don't do it, because then why?
You haven't seen Dynamite yet, right?
I have not.
When do you watch this Thunder Rosa match? Listen to the audience reaction. And I've liked Thunder Rosa in the past. Watch the actual match. Watch the work in this match. And she's one of the more polished people there. Watch that match. There are so many problems with women's wrestling that people don't really address because everyone's so busy being invested in how much time they get. But then you give them the time and the ratings drop and they're not good in the ring. And the people don't react to anything. It's not the chicken and the egg. It's the fucking chicken in the hen house.
It's the chick and the egg.
I guess so. That's my women's wrestling rant for no reason.
Well, we're not quite finished with the women's wrestling because it was the 9 o'clock hour, and here came Refrigerator Jax. And why? They have a lot of faith in her, putting her at the top of the hour, but at the same time, this segment lasted 3 minutes and it wasn't her talking. And by the way, remember I said when she speaks, it sounds like somebody has implanted Sable's voice box in a fucking recliner couch. She sounds just like that monotone, memorized delivery, but somebody said, no, no, no. She sounds more like China. Okay, gas chamber or the electric chair. Pick which one. She sounds like both of them at the same time. And, but anyway, she starts talking and I don't listen, but suddenly out comes Becky Lynch and then out comes Bayley. And they got in a fight and Nia shit-canned Becky over the top rope and leg dropped Bayley and it was over in 3 minutes. So we're going to have to put up with her, I guess, some more. That's the best thing I can say about that. What about you?
I can't really say much more than that.
Well, at least since it was only 9:03 now.
The Rock says,
The Rock
book
says,
her on that show.
Couldn't he just, give her $1 million and keep 29 and all right. But
buy her a truck?
Well, they went.
Film yourself buying her a truck?
I thought you said rent her a truck. I was going to say to move out. But anyway, since that was so quick, they kept the people, I believe, because they went into a Rumble package that is one of the things that they do well with all the statistics and highlights through the years. This guy, there have been 1,000, however many people in the Royal Rumble, but only 30 whatever have won it. And this guy had most eliminations and most minutes of whatever. They made it big and they showed all the twists and turns that can happen. And they did another one later on where they highlighted same thing, different statistics and some of the goofy things Kofi Kingston does not to get eliminated, walking on his hands, but the surprise appearances or returns or whatever. They've got an annual event that's built around a match. Unfortunately, now it's 2 matches. Refer to our previous discussion. But they've got an annual event built around a match that has great implications to WrestleMania and has become the number 2 PLE. So, I mean, they just keep making it bigger. This is showbiz. They know how to get the most out of the least. And they've got all this history to work with, I guess what I'm saying is. So they do this shit great. Then we got to see Miz and Dominic. But how much wrestling can we watch on a wrestling program? We got to get to the good stuff, right? What'd you think of the package, or do you care?
It's good. They always do a good job with these. I'm excited for the Rumble. This is the most excited I've been in a while because there's so many intangibles. There's so many things that could happen. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't even need a single surprise person there to be. Usually it's like that's one of the things. It's like, oh, the Royal Rumble. I can't wait to see who they dig up this year.
Yeah.
This year, I can't wait to see what's going to happen when these guys interact in that ring.
Yeah, all the regular guys, they they might have some, but they don't need them. It's always, nice to have somebody that somebody might want, the fans might want to see, but yeah, and with this one, it's not only who wins the Rumble, but it's how are the other people that don't win the Rumble going to get screwed out of it or screw each other over out of it, if that is indeed proper verbiage.
I'm intrigued by Drew McIntyre. We still don't know where that is going.
And we'll find out, won't we?
I guess so.
This weekend. But anyway, as I said about how much wrestling can we watch, there was Miz and Dominic. Dominic won when Finn helped him and they got more heat, and Ciampa and Same Face came out and made the save, and yeah.
No reaction to DIY coming out there. They got the music. They ran out there like baby faces do to make the save. No reaction whatsoever.
I know it comes from NXT, but a lot of things got changed from developmental back in my day, including a lot of things that shouldn't have been. So why is DIY not? Why? What does Johnny fucking Sameface and his wife Candy LaRue have on this company or anybody, any individual in it, that they keep using this guy and treat his stuff like it's sacred? Oh, he was DIY. Do it yourself. That sounds like they ought to come out with tool belts, right? In NXT, any of the right? He was a famous fucking small, childlike, bland performer in NXT when it wasn't even on national television. But he gets to come right up to the main roster with his own name and all of his history intact, and bring his wife, who is the epitome of an indie girl wrestler who looks so out of place and confused with the other girls. At least
with these other confused women.
Well, they're confused, but at least they're athletes. She's like a goddamn, Target cashier that wandered in. But they use them every chance they get. And but anyway, here's another thing that grinds my gears, Brian. Damian Priest is in the back, part of Judgment Day. He's got a problem with Drew McIntyre, who they're also doing serious stuff with. And suddenly R-Truth comes in with another fucking ridiculous wad of money that there's no possible way that he could have made selling T-shirts in the park, because who's giving him all these hundreds?
How much are these shirts? Has he established a price?
No, but I know a 2-inch high stack of $100 bills is humming around 20 grand, right? So no, and they're crisp and they're brand new. And nobody's just handed him $100 bill after $100 bill for a T-shirt in the parking lot. Point I'm making is, even if it's the entertainment portion of the program, and nobody's supposed to believe it, which they don't, so they better not be, then after Priest says it's not time for that now and blows him off, he turns and goes into a serious promo about Drew McIntyre, which is like if the professor on Gilligan's Island did a bit with Gilligan and then turned around and told Mr. Howell how he'd come up with his brand new cancer cure and he turned into Dr. House. Right? You can't go from this foolishness to, oh, now I'm talking about a main event guy, so I'm deadly serious. Within 30 seconds, does that work? Doesn't for me.
I made a joke the other day. I'm wondering if it's really what they're going to do, that he's not selling any shirts. He's going to his ATM and emptying out his bank account to give these guys money to be their friend.
No, but his name is not Tony, it's Truth. Then we got Chad Gable and Ivar the Viking. What'd you say?
I said T-Truth.
No, that's T-shirt. And R-Truth. And if R-Truth sold T-shirts for $100 a piece in that parking lot, I don't know if he'd get a lot of takers.
That's
anyway.
Right. Well, you mentioned there was a Viking named Ivar.
Yes, and he wrestled a Gable named Chad. And then,
Raw rolls on.
And I was looking for a boy named Sue, and Raw steamed on through the Cody entrance and the Cody and CM Punk segment that we have covered previously in our time travels that was newsworthy because it was 17 minutes of gold. So as we've seen again, primarily since this program, we got Seth and Gunther in a heck of a promo or interview segment that made us want to see what's going to go on there. And we got Cody and Punk. It makes us want to see what's going to go on there. And pretty much in between, we get what we got after Cody and Punk, which was Zoe and Shayna versus Indy and Candy. And they had this match in a library. And nobody was shushed. They didn't need to be. And how can you follow? Again, they don't know who.
Dead silent. After they were all screaming.
To begin with.
They were all screaming for Punk and Cody. They went dead silent for this match. And they were there. They were just watching.
Yes, sort of like, when will this bullshit be over with, as Dusty Rhodes once said? The people sitting at home going, This is some bullshit, right? When will this bullshit be over with?
Just like that.
Just like that. And he was talking about one of the shows he wrote. Anyway, then they had another Rumble package, and then we were ready for our main event of the evening, which was Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. And if you guessed that there was going to be very little to this match and it was all going to be a storyline for the finish, you are correct, sir. Both these guys are good because they're big men, but they can move. And except, again, Priest is another guy getting really sloppy with these open-handed punches and slapping his leg on the other side and whatever the fuck. But they did good big man shit. Belly-to-belly suplex on the fucking floor, and Priest suplexed Drew onto the desk. They still went to the break 2 minutes after the bell. And by the time they came, because there was 8 minutes of entrances, 2 minutes of match, and then a break. And then we come back. We've got 8 minutes left on the air. Couldn't they have dropped the 2-minute girls match? Couldn't they have? Just to give but anyway, the only reason they were out there was to do this finish. Priest hits a dive to the floor on Drew, and Truth comes to ringside at that particular moment to try to give Drew Priest, to try to give Damian Priest more money. And Priest shoves him down on his ass and is like, get out of here. And so Truth is thinking, oh, he must want me to put it in his briefcase. So Priest gets back into the ring, and Drew hits a DDT and sets up for the Claymore kick. But Truth jumps up on the apron of the ring at this particular point. Now, bear in mind, we know that R-Truth has been a wrestler for at least 20 years, so he obviously might realize that this is not the opportune time, but he's asking what the code is for the briefcase. So Drew goes over, punches Truth off the apron, and Priest hits a choke slam on Drew, and he covers him, but the referee is getting Truth out of there. So Priest grabs Truth and shit cans him and turns around into the Claymore kick by Drew. Boom, 1, 2, 3. So we literally, we just got, like, on the air at least, 5 or 6 minutes of a match, and then this foolishness of a finish. They're trying to make Drew serious and have him have these dramatic confrontations with people. And whatever Priest is going to do, whether he's going to be the one to get fed up with the Judgment Day or become a babyface out of it, whatever, why are they having, couldn't R-Truth possibly do comedy with Dominic? With it wouldn't hurt. Or JD, Funko, or even Finn. But why is R-Truth being fakely funny, doing things that no human being would do when they're trying to make these other guys serious at this point? I do not understand.
Well, it hurts Priest more than anyone in terms of seriousness.
Yes.
And that was Raw.
And that was Raw. Boy, was it. No Vaseline, nothing. Just right in there.
Well, I'm trying to transition to anything else, but you made it pretty hard there at the end.
Well, that's what she said.
Oh, boy. Well, that's what she said. Jim, maybe what she said is, I need a nice business. Maybe what she said is, I need a good online presence, an easy store for people to be able to... Well, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about to sell product, to sell...
Oh, well, that is a product. It is something that the consumers covet, but you mean like a merchandise, like
drop ship,
knickknacks and pallywhacks and all those type of things. Tidbits, tum-tum, tilly-toe, the tidbits and the tiddlywinks and the Teletubbies and whatever you want to sell. If you want to sell something, well, there's somebody that's going to buy it no matter what it is. But the selling is the thing, Brian. That's the thing of it. And you got to have your proper online platform in today's high internet, high technology, high pressure environment. You got to have the professionals on your side. You can't just do this on your own. You can't just make your own website and just throw shit up there and expect to sell Krugerrands or anything like that. You got to have something you can trust. You got to have a big company behind you using their power, knowledge, and expertise. And that's why that we recommend our friends at Shopify. Not only that, but also they're cheap. And by cheap, I don't mean.
No, I wouldn't put it that way. No.
Well, no, I don't mean in any way flimsy or lacking in quality. I mean inexpensive. Because I'm fixing to tell people how you can get a $1 a month trial period over at Shopify because they power 10% of all the e-commerce in the United States. And if you want to be one of that 10%, you need to get on the ball. Just go to the e-chamber of e-commerce and check these people out. Because they're the global force behind Allbirds and Brooklinen and Rothy's. And if they can be the global force behind people who do things like those people.
What are you talking about?
Well, then that's what it says here. These name brands, they're household words. Brooklinen and Allbirds, they sell Allbirds. They've got everything from penguins to fucking pelicans. And everything in between. Pink flamingos, don't go to John Waters, go to Allbirds. But nevertheless, that's who Shopify is helping out. If they can sell, if they can sell some molting, shit-ridden fucking birds around the world, they can sell whatever you're trying to pawn off on people.
No, let's talk about real products for real people. Our audience are real people with real businesses, small businesses, and they can use some help and
even medium businesses. Because Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. And they can help you from start to finish, from the, hey, let's put on a store, kids, to the all the way to I'm retiring with all the money I've made, bilking people out of money on the internet for my substandard merchandise. You don't even have to be good at this. They can sell anything.
They're not selling anything. You're selling it. They're the e-commerce friend that you can have to facilitate these wonderful sales.
Yes, and they're going to put this stuff up on the website, on the internet, on the store platform there, and all your stuff's going to be listed, and people are going to send money for it, and Shopify's going to give you a good portion of that. And did I mention $1 a month? Here, I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute, because also Shopify does other things. With Shopify Magic, you can whip up captivating content that converts and generate those instant FAQ answers that everybody wants. And with Shopify bundles, you can create and sell product bundles with ease. They send you a big thing of string and some tape, and you just tie around all these bundles of things, and you sell the whole bundle at a time. Just move this shit. Sell it by the ton. And with Shopify Collective, you can curate products to sell from the brands you love. You don't have to just sell your own stuff. That's going to ridiculously reduce your overhead, not having to pay for merchandise. Just sell shit that belongs to other people. It's an amazing, not only a time saver, but also...
Well, sell your own things.
It'll make you a lot more money.
Don't listen to any...
Well, no, it says right here, Shopify Collective. You can curate products to sell from the brands you love. Well, I happen to love some of the programs on HBO, so I'm going to sell those DVDs now.
No, see, that's illegal. You have no rights to those DVDs. You don't have... Unless you bought them wholesale from the distributor, and you yourself are a vendor.
Well, what am I? Don't I just tell them that I'm curating and it's all okay? It's the curating law that they passed here.
In what way are you curating? Under the traditional definition of the word curation.
It says with Shopify Collective, you can curate products to sell from the brands you love, giving your customers more variety and your business more sales. So if I'm going to sell somebody else's shit, I'm going to make more money on it because I'm not the one that had it made to begin with. See, these are many of the loopholes that you need professional help to work you through when you're in high commerce and big business and e-business and e-commerce. And right now you can sign up for a $1 a month trial period at shopify.com/JCE, all lowercase in that JCE, by the way. Go to shopify.com/JCE, $1 a month trial period. And if If they like you and you pass all the background checks, they may elect to continue. Otherwise, you'll be out on your ass, but you'll have the experience. Shopify.com/JCE, one of the big leaders in the e-commerce business around the world. So that's what you're going to hear a lot of. Over and over again.
That's right.
You'll hear it in your fucking sleep. You'll ask your wife, are we ever going to stop making money? The kids can't sleep.
The kids will sleep in very comfortable beds that you will buy with the fine money you'll make selling your products using Shopify. We endorse them. We like them. What's that
That's
promo
right.
code? One more time.
JCE, lowercase, and they'll sleep good in the fine beds you'll buy from our friends at Helix Sleep.
Well, no, that's a separate. You can't.
That's a separate.
You can't do that here.
Can't do that.